Good morning, it's James. I do hope and pray this message finds you and your loved ones peaceful, thriving, and well. This community is all about this message. This message is about grit, it's about persistence, it's about tenacity, it's about continuing moving forward in your mission for your life, regardless of what's happening outside of you. The things that make you feel sometimes small, diminished, like you want to give up. And in the face of all of the things that seem to be pushing us down or wanting to diminish what it is that we know we have to be standing for here in the conscious party of inclusion and allness and oneness, grit is a superpower. And when I look at grit, I always go to Angela Duckworth's work, who spoke to grit in a way that I think is really absolutely deeply spiritual, emotionally connected, physically invigorating, and really the way that I believe we all need to face what our purpose is asking for us and how it is that we continue to move forward to pursue our purpose with passion. You know, Angela did a lot of wonderful work, and some of the work that she did was very, very interesting. She was looking at how it is that in different military academies, particularly West Point, they, no matter how much background they did on people who were applying to West Point to get in, which is very difficult. You have to have letters of recommendations from politicians and people of high regard. And on top of that, tremendous grades and amazing other activities that you did. It really screens well in terms of looking at the person. Well, they can only see so much, right? Because these are all the accolades of what people accomplish. And certainly there's a level of tenacity and grit in order to get to those things. However, what they found is so many people who were admitted in and then decided to go to West Point, there was an incredible high level of people who didn't make it through. They just didn't make it. They decided to leave. They left. They didn't want to pursue and complete the process there of becoming a graduate. So they hired Angela to figure out, okay, what's going on here? We try to do everything we can to get the right recommendations, the right references. We really try to grade, if you will, from a high level of standard, and people have to be there at a high level of standard. But why are people not being successful in getting through the program? Well, she quantified it as they don't have a high degree of grit. They may have a high degree of acumen, a high degree of social connection. They may have a high degree of influence, but they may not have grit. So when she helped to integrate grit as one of the other things that they were looking to, they began to test for grit. And they had all kinds of wonderful ways they objectively could see whether or not someone had grit. And once they instituted the grit into the admissions process, the incredible, amazing difference in how not only did they find phenomenal candidates, they actually found candidates that very, very, very rarely didn't pursue and finish. They found those people who did pursue this education. There was like a six-fold increase in whether or not they were going to finish the program. So how does that actually correlate with what it is that we're doing today? Well, this is a community. You and I and all of us here have some pretty high standards of how we believe the work that we're here doing in this world is ours to do. And there are times when we wonder whether or not we have it within us. We get beaten down, we get exhausted, we see the world and it doesn't look like it's a place that we can do the greatest work of our life, or we know that we need to do the greatest work of our life and we're looking for grit. Well, we know that willpower can be made through meditation, it can be made through nutrition, it can be made through movement of your body. But there's a couple other things that I think are really interesting. Smiling, according to Angela, is a grit maker. And what she recommends every single morning when we wake up, we are getting ready to brush our teeth, just give yourself a strong smile. It correlates with neurochemistry of confidence and motivation, tenacity. And just a smile for a few moments to yourself is like a magic maker for grit. She also says that when we're facing challenges in the midst of our day, going through our purpose and pursuing it, just clenching our fists, not like making a punch, but just at your side when you're just kind of getting ready for something, you're feeling yourself wavering. She said, just clench your fists, and that also can give us that sense of purpose and that sense of gritty tenacity. She also said, this is really interesting, putting a sticky note someplace where you spend most of your day, a sticky note that just reminds you of your purpose. She said that correlates with helping you to feel and remind yourself of what it is that you're here to do. And it's just flashing over it 16, 20, 30, 50 times a day continually reinforces and builds grit at a neurochemical and physiological level. And interesting enough, the thing I did not expect, she said that self-forgiveness and decreasing your level of regret. So when we look at our lives, and sometimes it's easy to think about the failures, especially when we're going for our great big life, we can sometimes question ourselves and sometimes regret comes up. She found out if we can heal that by forgiving ourselves, which means simply to give to yourself ahead of time, love, acceptance, affirmation. That in itself is a grit maker. I love that. The work at hand is hard and beautiful and deep and difficult. And it's ours to do. I believe that this is why we're all here. Find the Dharma, find the purpose, and give ourselves completely to it. And if grit is calling to you today, give yourself permission to embrace it with all of your heart. Because I believe another word for grit is courage. And courage is another word for heart. And heart is love. So with that, much love and every blessing. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.